I'm not talking like a small space. I'm talking like a whole wall where you can put like a
Mm,
year's worth of goals and like have everything be visual.
wow. Also categorized by project. So we have goals and then we have the project. We're like, okay, everything this month
Mhm.
has a project that it's attached to. So like, what are we doing this for?
Write it down or find something that represents that and put it somewhere where you can see it often. And then come back to that every once in a while.
For me, especially the fridge being somewhere that you go several times a day. But even for me, I think I just like go there aimlessly. I think I just
Back to
like
the fridge.
restlessness, boredom eating. I don't know. I'm like, what's in the fridge? What's in the fridge? What's in the fridge now? Oh, the same thing as an hour ago. But I see that list every time. And then it kind of puts me in the like, okay, where am I now? Where are we going?
Hi, this is Lindsay, and you're listening to my April 2026 episode based on my Lindsay's letter shared this past month to our community, titled 5 Ways to Reset Your Business for Spring, Starting with Your Workspace. I don't know about you, but I take seasonal shifts very seriously. It's not just about the weather. For me, going from one season to another changes my mindset completely, my energy levels, and my motivations. Moving from winter to spring is one of my favorite seasonal shifts. Things are coming alive again, becoming brighter, and energy levels are up. But before this new season comes, I want to be ready. I want to pause and think about ways I might reset before diving in. As a business owner, I've learned that when things feel heavy or you're feeling unmotivated, the answer isn't usually doing more. It's actually about creating space. And often, the easiest place to begin is a space you work every day. Today, we're discussing 5 simple ways to reset your business and mindset for spring, starting with your workspace.
I have I figured this was an appropriate background. That summer weather coming. I'm at Arizona State today.
Oh, nice.
Arizona State University, I should say, to avoid any trademark
You should say.
infringement.
Yes.
ASU. Copyright. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. My name is Ryan. I'm a co-founder of Student Made and host of this show, Making It Creative. Today's episode is a Lindsay's Letter episode, which means we'll be hearing from our co-founder, Lindsay, on a message about being a founder, the ups and downs, challenges and growth, and lessons learned of being on this journey. So today we're talking about something very tangible, something you can put into practice today, actually, maybe even while listening to this episode. If you consider yourself a creative soul, the little influences really can have big impacts on you. So if you haven't yet realized the power of these little tricks we're sharing today, hopefully that will change going forward.
Perfect. So, starting with number 1, clear what's distracting you. Do you ever feel like your brain is messy when your space is messy? Yes? Well, me too. I don't work well in a messy environment because it's distracting and hard to focus. This is probably most important in your workspace. So, a great first step for a spring reset is removing anything that pulls your attention away, reminds you of unfinished stress, or no longer fits how you work. This isn't about being perfectly organized or having the workspace of your dreams. It's just about clearing some of that mental noise so you can focus on what you're working on and be productive.
Excellent. So, I was thinking about this. Got me thinking about what distracts me as I'm working, and I was thinking, well, for you, something actually came to mind pretty quickly, which I was like, why Lindsay has not been working from her office lately? It's because
Stay in your
we
hula
had
hoop.
had a we had a closet clean out day like 2 months ago
Oh
to
gosh.
be like our end of winter cleanup, and we left a bunch of crap laying all around on the floor, on the bed in there, on everywhere, on your desk. Your desk also happens to be where all like the mail gets collected, and that's been like a ghost town for the last 2 months. Your office, you have not been in there at all, which
No.
it used to be like your total haven.
Nope.
You'd be in there every day. It was like your work
Yeah.
spot. You had your plant on your desk. I just
Yes.
rescued the thing today, luckily, because I forget to water it. No one goes in there anymore. So I took it to a different room, the poor plant. And your desk is just like history. It's just like a waste. It's just a wasteland. And so I'm like, okay, why don't you work in there? It's because clutter. We got all the stuff unpacked from the closet, not put
100%.
away yet. And there's no way you could do that. And for myself, I was thinking, I love working from home and looking out the window, but the only
Mhm.
problem is every time I look out the window, to enjoy a view, I see a unfinished landscape project, and I'm like, I can't help but think of that all day. I'm like, oh, I have to mow the lawn today. I forgot about that. Oh, do I have time? Like, when am I going to have time to do that? Or like, oh, I don't like how that came out. I'm going to have to work on that project. So anyway, I was thinking maybe I would work best in like a bubble, like a zero, not zero
Just
gravity, but what do you call it? Like a total darkness chamber where I like can't see anything else. But I don't know. Is that true about your office? Is
well,
that you can fess up to it? Is that why you don't work in there anymore?
I think that's definitely part of it, which goes along with this number one of like, I cannot work in spaces where I'm similar to you with looking outside, which is unfortunate because that's a nice thing to do. But like anything that prompts me to think about other things or get like busy minded, and that definitely comes from a busy space. And so one, yes, because our my office is currently in a state of disarray. I literally won't even step foot in there because it will like throw my whole day off. It's that dramatic. But
Mm-hmm.
also, I will
Mm-hmm.
follow that up by number two, the reason why I'm not in there, which goes along with this theme of seasonal shifts. Like wintertime, I would go in my office and be in there all day and have no problem not coming out because it was like my bright space. I love the lighting in there. I love the decorations in there. But as soon as it switched to summer, the feeling of being like locked in my office is not as intriguing to me. Whereas in the winter, you're like, you're cold, you have a blanket, you're hunkering down to work. But right now, at least in Charleston, the weather is like beautiful every single day. And in our living room, we have a bunch of windows and you can see people walking by, walking their dogs all day long. And so, like, that is more motivating to me. That environment is more motivating to me than being like solo in my office room.
Yeah,
Um, and so I think that goes with the seasonal shift of like how you work and what changes when the season changes too.
that's a good point. Yeah, something about winter makes you really want to just find a kind of comfy quarters of the house and just like
Yes.
curl up there, and you can spend 8 hours like no problem, and that's fine.
No problem.
I find that with like, yeah, like working on the couch too. I don't know how people feel about that. Some people are like, love it. Some people are like, I can never work from the couch. But the wintertime, that is like the thing. It also goes with like
Yeah.
music. We have the speaker right there. You put on your classical jazz or whatever it may be, and you're like, this is the day here. This is wonderful. Um,
Well,
but
that's what I
like you
think
said,
is
spring.
so true about this is
Mm,
that it changes. It's not like I
yeah,
really I do think that this changes four times a year for me. Like it's very clear that when the season changes, my instinct on how I want to work and where I want to work is very different.
yeah. I also feel like in winter, the not that it's cluttery per se, but looking outside and everything is kind of dead is
Mm.
like not
Mm-hmm.
motivating either. Um, which is,
No, it's not.
I guess the whole science behind like seasonal depression is like you look out, there's no color, or so that doesn't exactly
Yeah.
boost your spirits. Looking out the window. So
Right.
definitely agree with you there. Yeah. So clear number one, clear what's distracting you. We covered that. By the way, we're going to be covering 5 topics, as Lindsay mentioned. So starting with our space, how it's set up, anything distracting there, and then moving from there into kind of the autonomy we have over our space, which I
Yes.
guess
Mm-hmm.
technically we do have that chance in your office to spruce things up and maybe get things out of disarray. Have we taken advantage of that autonomy? No. Put that one on the back
No.
burner. Um, but we're going to talk about how you can redesign your space based on how you work. Also for your like specific type of work, like what type of business are you in, or maybe it's not a business, but you're just
Exactly.
doing some kind of project. And what do you do from
Mm-hmm.
that space? So we'll hear that part of your letter and dive into that as well.
Yeah. So to kick this one off, just start by taking a minute and picture your typical workspace. What do you think of when you think of your typical workspace? For me, I think a desk and I think an office chair. and probably some kind of like drawers for storage file, like a file cabinet situation. Kind of lame, honestly, all those things. They don't make me excited. So it's important to think about what kind of environment you work best in and adapt your surroundings to match that. You might also think about this more tangibly, like if you're someone packaging orders or physically creating products, your workspace should be inspiring but also functional for the things that you're doing day to day. So some good things to ask yourself when thinking about this space. Do I brainstorm here? Do I design here? Am I packaging orders here? Do I need quiet, energy, or flexibility? If you're like me, this might inspire you to want to do a complete makeover on your workspace. But I promise you that something as simple as moving your desk to a different spot or adjusting the lighting can make a huge difference.
So, yes, as you mentioned, you mentioned some things that we don't necessarily do in our workspace that honestly I wish we could, but we just don't really have that like aspect of our work, like packaging products, taking product photography, social media content, all those kinds of things. We work with creative founders in Student Made, so that's more applicable to them than us. So I'd be curious to hear actually from creatives out there, what's your experience with this? How do you design your space for like a certain phase you're in with your business or maybe a certain season? That'd be interesting to hear. Yeah. So let us know, comment on the episode. For me, and I know we are aligned in this. I kind of bent the rules of this theme a little bit because we can add certain things to our workspace, but not like that are super business oriented. But I had a couple examples in the next topic that we'll get to that are business focused. But I actually thought about like actually getting out of your space entirely. So for us, working from our house, it's like getting out. So I thought about coffee shops here and how we, where we are, the energy of where we are totally influences maybe like what not what phase, but like what topic, what area of our work we're in at the time. So when we have to, when we have to start the week and like get ideas flowing, get back to familiarizing with things, it's helpful to get out. We're like, let's go to a coffee shop and talk and kind of like get that energy flowing again. Also, when we have to like come up with new ideas for something, or if we're at a roadblock with some issue we're having and we're like, okay, we need to go brainstorm about this. Sometimes doing that from your space that you are used to sitting down and getting like projects done and tasks done from is not the most conducive for, let me put my creative founder hat on and think of ideas and kind of be in that like brainstormy creative space again. So kind of bent the rules because it's not our space. Sometimes if we're unable to get out, we say like, let's go coffee shop mode at home. And we're like, okay, turn on the music, make as much noise as possible. Like, let's get the tea maker going. You need some like screaming sound behind you, like the espresso machine in a coffee shop. And, but also just the people, like being part of the energy of the world sometimes is helpful to get things going. People are meeting, conversating. It's kind of just things are in motion.
Yes, totally. And I think what's kind of to flip this around too is thinking about times where going out does not work. So when I read in your notes, the espresso machine screaming, that is horrible when you're on a call with someone. Horrible.
Yes, it is.
Or like if you're trying to think, like actually like think through something solo and the coffee machine is going, that's not the spot. I'd rather be at home. And so I actually have specific coffee shops that I can take calls from and specific coffee shops that I can't, all because of like, what am I trying to get done there? So it's kind of funny, like Ryan and I will ask each other, do you want to go to a coffee shop? And then the second question is like, well, what work are you going to do there? And depending on what we decide is like, okay, now we can talk about like these 3 coffee shops or these 3. If it's like a coder hunker day headphones, there are coffee shops where it looks like people literally work there all day just on their computer. But then some where like people are just having a lunch meeting and it's more casual. So I think that goes really well into this of like adapting your space, whether it's your space at home or out, for what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, there are some times where that espresso machine, like literally screaming, like so loud, you don't even hear it. It's kind of just like
Literally.
part of the background of your, thoughts
Yeah,
and ideas at the time. And then there's sometimes where, yeah, it's so loud and you're like, I cannot stay focused on what I'm trying to
I
think about. Like that
can't.
thing is so
Yeah.
annoying. Um, so yeah, I guess that's why at co-working spaces they
Also,
have like those phone booths you can step in, and it's just like a totally quiet,
true,
block the world out, soundproof
true,
thing. Because I don't know, I've worked at a co-working
true.
space before, and you got these
Distracting.
people on the phone 2 feet behind you talking about who knows what, super loud, nothing to do with like your business
Super
whatsoever,
loud.
and like you can't help but want to eavesdrop too. Um, which
Yeah,
is
not good.
sometimes eavesdropping is good. It starts the creative, gives you ideas or
It's so
whatever.
good.
But not when you're like trying to get something done. You don't want to be like picking up on the law firm's conversation behind you about like whatever it is.
I have another example of this. It's again digressing from the office space example, but I think that it really speaks to the idea of making a little change can make a huge change mentally. Um, we have this bench, and the idea was you would kind of sit there like if you were putting your shoes on, but it quickly became the bench for folded clothes, dirty clothes, unfolded clothes, just clutter bench. And we had I mean, there was no way we could avoid this bench being cluttery for whatever reason.
Hmm.
And then one day we just decided, again, I'm pretty sure it was probably like the first day of spring or something. And for whatever reason, we moved the bench from where it was to a different wall and then moved one of our shelves to a different wall. And I feel like we both were like, wow, that makes such a difference. And we literally just moved these two little pieces of furniture, basically swapped them. And our room feels completely different. We not only like read in here more often, but it feels more like a space where we want to come. And so that was kind of towards the end of this section. I said, you might feel like you want to totally redesign your space, but I swear, like making one change can really like make the whole space feel different. So don't underestimate like just moving things around a little bit.
That's good. That's good.
It's true.
Okay, so somewhat work related there.
It is.
So one thing that inspires us. Okay, inspiration here.
Resets aren't just about removing, they're about intentional adding too. Spend some time thinking about something that excites you or motivates you. Having your best inspiration on display will help you get into the right mindset and remember why you're doing this work in the first place. Things to consider adding could be a customer testimonial, a meaningful quote or reminder, a product you're proud of, a collage of photos from a pop up. Inspiration doesn't need to be big or expensive, it just needs to be something that is personal and meaningful to you. Have fun making this space your own.
Yeah, yeah. This was kind of my work example of like, okay, little ways maybe we can, change our workspace to be, inspiring and something that is. I know for like the creative founder side, some things you mentioned are like put your favorite product up on your desk, something you made that's most impressive or most meaningful to you, or something like a customer interaction, like maybe a testimonial or like a picture you took with a customer, that kind of represents like the end goal, the sale of your product. For us, I was like, what do I do that's inspiring? And I think it also says a lot about the goals of what you do, like what really matters. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
I just ended up putting things that relate to like trips we've taken with our business, for our business. So like schools we visited, conferences we've been to. And I think that just like for me is, triggers like good memories, of
Mm-hmm.
times that I felt like, okay, we're really doing this business and like it's having an impact and it's out there in the world, which you don't always
Yeah.
feel necessarily from where you work. So, I have even right here, I have the, I'll show it for show and tell.
Show and
I
tell.
have the designed by our producer Liz here, our digital graphic specialist as well. We are open. Come shop and support student creators of all kinds at Troy, the Idea Bank, 63 South Court Square. It's our sponsor today, the Troy Idea Bank. So this is like so exciting. And I can also turn it around, you know? I'm getting sick of one side for 1 week, flip it right around, and I got the other side. I didn't even prep this for the episode.
Comes with so many memories. I mean,
it does.
That's loaded with like,
I remember
our first retail store, our first trip to Alabama, the awesome people we love from Troy, like so many fun that like invigorates you to keep working.
It does. I remember those were blown up to be like big yard signs when we were there, which is super cool. This conference, I still got this cookie. I don't know if it's edible. It's about 2 years old now. I don't think I'm ever going to eat it though. It's a GCEC Babson cookie. So this was a conference we went to in Boston, which was so fun. We had our whole team there. And just, it's great. It's so chaotic having a conference, you know, getting all our stuff in there and materials. And this was actually the conference that we had I think it was four
Pop-ups.
Schools. You know, we featured student products from 4 schools. And my last thing to share, was our very first conference. We made pins and we put them out on the table and people could come take them. So this is just like my business card, my little business card collector, but pins on there. And I just remember like people coming up. It was mostly students at that conference, and they were all coming up and were so excited to have a pin, and we had like hundreds of them out there. So,
yes,
that's me, Lindsay. What about you? What inspires you most for your business, and how do you keep that forefront of mind in your space?
Yeah, mine, I have 2. They're in my office, which I will go back there someday, I swear. Right in front, like where my desk is, it's facing a wall, and I knew I wanted to put something inspirational on that wall, so I wasn't just staring at a blank wall. So I have 6 frames, and each of them is like, not quotes, but little short phrases, kind of like mantras of life, and they're just like 6 things that I think are fundamental to enjoying and being positive and, you know, supporting other people, just kind of like my 6 main things I believe. And they cover all different parts of life, not just work stuff, but they definitely make sense for work stuff too. And those are just always nice to look at. Like anytime I look up from my computer, I see like something really inspiring. And then behind that wall, I have a little bit of a gallery, which I'm adding to, of student-made prints that I've bought from campuses over the years. So I have like, they're really bright and motivating and beautiful. And I have plans to really cover that whole wall with just like graphic, bright, funky prints, which is also like my version of the motivating student made side.
That's cool. Okay. So that's more like mission oriented. That's cool. Like why you do it.
Yeah.
In terms of the impact. Like I think some of those sayings are like, make something awesome today. Do you remember? Oh gosh, there's 6 of them. What are they?
There's 6 of them.
So, what is it?
I know. There's something about like, something like grow where you're planted, like this idea of like, don't try to be somewhere you're not or want to be somewhere you're not.
Yes.
There's
we got to take a field trip
like
in there one time and refresh.
Positivity.
It's been a while.
I have a beautiful picture of it. I have a beautiful, when my office was in its prime, I have this beautiful picture of my French blue desk with all these positive sayings. I gotta find that because I think people will really appreciate it.
I just walked into your office, the Wasteland, a couple of minutes ago before we started, and saw a vase. Probably still to this day, like one of the most impressive vases I've ever seen, and that was from before Student Made was even really a thing. That was at our college when we just kind of did this as a hobby idea. One of the freshmen there, insane potter. Yeah, I guess you say potter.
Insane.
Pottery maker. And, also one of the first students that was like most inspired to really pursue his craft because of the student made event we put on there. So I'll always remember his name, Thomas Cadman. I don't know where he is today.
Thomas Cadman.
He had quite the life I desired there. I was a bit jealous. He was going to live or I think, live at some kind of like meditation sanctuary
Oh,
somewhere.
you're right.
He
Yeah.
was into like, and then do pottery. And I was like, that is the summer I dream of, Thomas Cadman. Like, I wish I was you,
We need
but
to
I'm
send
not
him this
creative.
episode. Oh, great.
Send him, yeah, wherever he is. He's probably the new like Ram Dass, like white beard, lotus posture somewhere. Meditation man, making pottery, but it doesn't get much better than that. But anyway,
Doesn't.
we'll go into our little commercial
Perfect.
and then just carry on
Okay.
with you into topic 4, creating a visual reset for your goals.
Hey, this is Lindsay, and thanks for listening to my episode today. Before we move on, I just want to take a second to shout out some ways to support Student Made and our mission with young entrepreneurs. First, we have an awesome line of inspirational merch on our website, all kinds of things from crewneck sweatshirts to mugs and poster prints. You can find the link to shop in today's show notes. We even have a couple campus-specific lines out from Appalachian State in North Carolina and Arizona State in Phoenix, Arizona. Those designs really reflect the colors and environment of those campuses. They're all student designed and help fuel our programs on 25 campuses across the country. Another exciting update, we made our own magazine. Probably my favorite project in Student Made ever. It was such a fun process to gather all of the stories and insights from our students, as well as some of our favorite products from over the past few years. We'll be offering physical copies of it soon, but for now you can find a digital version on our website, which is also linked in the show notes. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Great reading. Well done. Yes, I actually brought this today. I don't think I've repped this on an episode in a little while, but we got
You are like show and tell
Arizona
central
State.
today.
This is the show and tell episode, absolutely. Student Made, kind of themed after the Arizona setting sun there, which is cool. I like how, they put, they have like 5 different designs or 4 different designs we used for the merch. Really neat how they kind of put their
Really
culture
nice
spin on it. And it's still just the general Student Made brand. It's nothing like specific to ASU, but then, and then App State, again, a creator there, made some really amazing designs, all, green, browns, nature oriented, being in the mountains of North Carolina. So that's
They're
always
awesome.
fun. We got to get something from App State. I don't think we have anything yet. We bought too much stuff from the Arizona State collection.
I know, we got too excited.
It happens. Okay, so where have we been? It's always good to keep track. Okay, clearing what's distracting us, redesigning your space for how you work specifically, adding inspiration. I guess this one kind of follows inspiration with goals. So a visual reset for your goals. Let's hear about that from your letter.
So, where do you keep your goals? Maybe in a notebook or on a task tracker on your computer. Those places make a lot of sense, and they're definitely functional, but I would encourage you to put your goals where you can see them, daily, loud and proud. That could look like a sticky note with one main goal or focus you have for the spring, a whiteboard outlining your weekly priorities, or even a printed reminder of why you started, or maybe your mission statement. When your goals are visible, your decisions become clearer, and most importantly, your work feels more intentional. Have fun translating your main goals into a visual that will help inspire you throughout this season.
Beautiful. Okay, so follow-up question for you on this. I feel like you are a person that has your goals pretty like front of mind all the time. Curious how you do that, and tips or tricks there. Do you need visual cues or not? If so, what visual cues do you use to remind you of your goals? But I feel like you're a person who works very goal-oriented, like not just out of routine or something that you have to do, but you're like you always got a goal in mind, which maybe not everybody has.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely more in the camp for work stuff, just because there are a lot of different things to keep track of with the electronic goal setting. And so we have goals for each of our pods of campuses. Each campus has specific goals. So to keep track of those, we have a task tracker, kind of like I mentioned. And obviously I have my digital calendar, but I think something that I've always loved is I have a physical calendar too that I can actually write on. And it seems so redundant because I put everything in the calendar on my phone and in my computer. But I think like translating things that I'm doing by hand onto the other calendar is really important. And when I look at it, I get excited about what we've done and what we have coming up in the month, work and personal. So I'd say that I don't know if that's not a specific goal, but it's very motivating to me to see, look at all the stuff we have coming up this month. And then when you go back, look at all the stuff that we did this month.
That's good. That's good. Like keeping your past, present, and future kind of all in one mind together, all in one view. That's helpful. Yeah. What you got coming up?
Definitely.
I was reflecting on that Notion. Notion is what we use for our business, but also for our life organization. And I was this just kind of hit me a second ago because I was going to talk about how I print out every month. I try to do it every month. Sometimes it's like every 2 months, but we have our running list of life events, goals, projects that we keep track of on Notion, and I print it out every month and I put it on our fridge. And it's so nice seeing it. It's not always nice because sometimes you're like, oh man, I got to do that. I forgot. But it's good. It's a good reminder. There's so much to do. But then when you see your whole month also categorized by project. So we have goals, not goals, like, well, yeah, I guess they're goals, but tasks are like each item. And then we have the project. So we're like, okay, everything we're doing this month, whether it's me, you, or together, we're like, okay, everything this month has a project that it's attached to. So like, what are we doing this for? And that's really nice to like look at, and you kind of see like the snapshot of your whole life in one place. So for me, especially the fridge being somewhere that, you go several times a day, but even for me, I think I just like go there aimlessly. I think I just either like boredom or just like restlessness, boredom eating. I don't know. I'm like, what's in the fridge? What's in the fridge? What's in the fridge now? Oh, the same thing as an hour ago. But I see that list every time. So if I'm kind of in just like the drifting through the day mindset, I come across that and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, all right. I look at the due dates. I'm like, right. Okay. So tomorrow we have this going on. By the end of this week, I need to make sure to have this. And then coming up in 2 weeks, we have this. And then it kind of puts me in the like, okay, where am I now? Where are we going? And reframes, what is today about? If you get really just kind of lost in the flow. Yeah.
This is not one that I actually have, so I'm not speaking from experience here, but one of my dreams, and maybe this is like a revamp I can do in my office, but I've always had this vision of having one entire wall be a cork board to like actually like write goals and ideas down and stick them up, and like, but I'm not talking like a small space, I'm talking like a whole wall where you can put like a year's worth of goals and like have everything be visual. Wow. That would kind of be my dream, to be able to like do this but on steroids. I would love that.
Yeah. Gosh, do you think you could take up a whole wall?
Yeah, yes, because I don't think it wouldn't just be goals, but I would put things that remind me of that goal. So like the things that you have on your desk, like, I don't know, I would like add cues, visual cues or pictures that kind of like piece it all together to be this bigger like representation of what's going on in our work and like the goals of our work.
That would be fascinating. I tried to do something like that when we were first getting started with like our project tracking. I tried to create some kind of diagram that illustrated that, because I feel like that is very helpful for me visually. And I was trying to do it online, and I was using like these like prototype like design sites at first of like trying to move all the sticky notes around and connect them, and it just got a little overwhelming, and you're only looking at it on a 12-inch screen, so it's like a little, it didn't really work. But I did want to see that. I wanted to see like, how does all this connect? How but I do, and I guess what I was going to say is I do that for our personal stuff, but I don't have a great way of seeing all the time what I'm doing for our work stuff. I feel like my strategy is keeping tabs open. So I literally that's why I always have like 45 tabs open on my computer, because I'm like, oh, right, I got to do that. I got to do that. And I have it on a list too, but like it's sometimes only a matter of like if I go open that Notion list and look for the day, sometimes I forget to even do that. Sometimes I forget to go look at what I'm supposed to do. So like with the fridge example, you're not even looking for it, and then boom, there it is. I feel like that could be really useful maybe to print out my monthly tasks, or even the ones that are repeating every day. Like, I don't know, maybe every day or every week, print it out and just have it next to you. And like when you glance down, you just remember like, oh yeah, I have to do that by the end of this week. Or instead of having to go check it digitally,
because think of how many times you go to check something that you have to do on your computer, and then like something else distracts you and you forget what you're even going to do and you never get it done.
Yes.
There's just like so much the digital world when it's electronic.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is. It's like, in a way, yeah, it feels like it's not existent sometimes. Like you just out of sight, out of mind.
I mean, something we try to do for us, we do it every semester, is we try to have like one kind of big overarching goal that influences a lot of other goals. I feel like this past semester it was, I don't know, communication is always coming as like a main goal for our team, of like how can we communicate more effectively with each other, with our students, all that. But so that would be my recommendation, is like, and maybe it's a thing that reminds you of that, but we can get bogged down by there's so many little goals that we want to accomplish, especially if you're talking about the course of a year. I would encourage you to create something that's like a bigger, overarching, more broad goal, and write it down or find something that represents that and put it somewhere where you can see it often, and then come back to that every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it would be nice. I'm picturing like an old movie where like someone has something on the wall, like a poster or something of like maybe like a foreign city or something, or like a car, like something they want to own one day. And they're like, like a kid like looks at it in their bedroom every day. Like, I want to, or like a baseball poster. And they're like, one day I want to play for the Yankees. That is my goal. And I look at it every day and it's like a reminder. I don't think I have something like that. I don't think I ever really have. They said I heard that would be cool. Once that like I heard once like put the college that you want to go to on your wall, and the psychology or something of like your chances of actually going there increase like dramatically when you look at it every day. I didn't do that.
Wow.
I didn't do that. But
and
did you have anything like that?
Ryan didn't go to UNC Chapel Hill.
Oh, but yeah. Still wearing my Carolina blue underwear though, almost every day. So that counts.
No, I didn't have anything like that, but a good example of that, well, kind of, Gilmore Girls, Rory, her room was Harvard theme, except she didn't even go to Harvard. So
well, she got in, but so that's all that matters.
It was all over. She got in. You're right. No, I don't have this yet. So this is encouraging me to think about kind of maybe an abstract or tangible thing that I can put into space to represent this. So I'm challenged to that now.
I don't know. I thought actually going back to this pin example, our first conference, we had anyone who came up to our table, we let them tack onto the board. It was a US map, and we had them write their school name on like a little flag thing, and then to tack it into the state. And we left the conference with like 100 little tacks in the board, and we were all over the whole country, and we looked super impressive, even though we only had like 4 schools at the time. And people were like, "You're at all those schools?" We're like, "No, just these 4 over here, but we could be at all those,
but we will be."
So that kind of worked. We kept that actually in our house for a while, and it was in someone's office. I think it was in your office. So we kind of looked at that every day. And
it was like, that's inspiring. That was that was inspiring. Definitely.
Yeah. We even had some California on there, which we've since been ordered not to ever go to California or expand to California because too complicated, the laws. So not in California yet. But if you're listening to this episode from a school in California and you really want student made there, then maybe we can make an exception.
That's nice.
So visual reset for your goals. Maybe also let us know, any listeners, what you have as a visual of your goals. Is it that Yankees poster to play for the Yankees? Is it the cover of a magazine that you want to be featured in one day? Is it a certain achievement like a house or a car or what else could you have? I don't know.
Yeah, tangible.
Or a certain landscape. I keep my landscape posters out, not posters, but magazines where I can see them. It's always kind of stoking that, like, okay, yep, one day I could get there. Yeah, let us know what yours is. And with that, we will move on to topic 5, our last and final, but certainly not least topic, resetting how you feel when you sit down to work. So take that away for us.
Yeah, a really important one. So I would be lying if I said that aesthetics weren't important. But ultimately, the purpose behind making your workspace aesthetically pleasing is more about how it makes you feel than how it looks. When you sit down to work, ask yourself, do I feel overwhelmed or uninspired, or do I feel excited to jump right in? The way that you feel sitting down to work can have a lot of weight over what you're able to accomplish. This process can help you turn your workspace into a place that makes you feel calm, capable, and motivated, and that feeling carries into everything that you build.
Yes. Okay. So how we feel when we sit down to work. This is a big one. Probably not a topic that, sounds like it necessarily matters. At least to I know like previous generations. Actually just the other day, on Easter, at our church, our Easter sermon, our pastor was talking about, that this is the generation, like this generation, younger generations, care more about their work and like how their work feels than ever before. Like it's more significant. Mm-hmm. And the whole point he was making was like that's good in some ways. Like we work a lot. It's very influential in our lives. However, you can kind of be looking to that for like too much,
as your main source,
more than what your work can give you. Yeah. So the whole theme was like looking for the right answers in the wrong places. So the right answer is like, yes, feeling fulfilled, feeling comfortable, happy, satisfied, content. Mm-hmm. But it's just a matter of like what you look to for those things. But with that said, I mean, I feel like it is great that our generation thinks about, how work feels. And, for us, honestly, I feel like it's like a daily, it's kind of like a daily automatic feeling. I'm like, okay, how's it feeling today to sit down? Do I feel like I need to do more of something else first, to like get ahead on that on my day first? Or do I want to work, earlier today or start later or what, all those kinds of things. And I think it does have a big impact, obviously, on how you show up to work and what you produce, and your attitude and all that kind of stuff, and burnout. I know, going back to a theme we've talked about before. So I guess question to you. Yeah. What makes you feel excited to jump right into work? Is it something work related typically, or do you think it's more like life related that, allows you to bring that attitude to work?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. And I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about like matching work or projects with different settings is really fun. And expanding the places that you work. So I can't think of an example of a project, but I guess sometimes like if Ryan and I really just need to talk about something, we'll like go somewhere and go for a walk. Like that is work that can be done in a different setting. And that sometimes is like more motivating, like looking around at things and like getting the creative juices flowing than just sitting down in the same spot. So I think for me, this comes down to like, again, thinking about what work you have to do and setting yourself up for success by putting yourself in a place where you feel excited to do that work. And different work is calling like different parts of your brain and heart too. And so I think for me, it's when I match those things well together that I feel like a lot of energy and excited to do my work as well.
Yeah. I was thinking, like that morning before of like, don't reflect too much on your work. Like don't reflect too much of like your, feeling about life or feeling about the day on your work kind of was important to me. because I think, getting them like entangled too much, especially like working from our house, like I said, whether it's looking out the window at like the landscape project that I started on the weekend, and I'm like, like I need to finish that. When am I going to get to finish that? Or like a pile of laundry on the ground that I'm like, okay, got to do that. I start to feel so behind on things. Or maybe it's like going to the fridge looking for a donut, but only finding my task list of like, oh man, like I'm behind on those things. And you start to get overwhelmed. And a lot of times I can be like, I don't know, kind of reflect that on my day's work where I'm like I'm overwhelmed about life today, but like that translates into my work. And I look at the first thing I have to do for work and I'm like, oh man, like I'm overwhelmed.
This is hard to get started. Yeah.
Like I'm not feeling that today. But it makes it total. Sometimes you just have to get out of that space. Anything that's like mind cluttering you. And as soon as we get out somewhere, if I'm like, I just can't be at home today, and you forget, as soon as you get out somewhere, I do not think about the landscaping. I do not think about the laundry. I do not think about the task list. I do not think about whatever. And sometimes you need to just like get that out of the way. And then you realize like, oh, work, doesn't actually really relate much to those things. It's like a totally separate thing.
Well, I feel like that one was kind of like all encompassing of stuff we've talked about from the previous ones. But I think, the takeaway is like matching your mindset for work with where you're working, and like lean into the autonomy you have being an entrepreneur to work where you want to work and work in spaces that are conducive to what you're doing. I was going to say, I feel like that's the same for writers too, like people writing books, like when you get like, what do they call that? Writer's block. And they like go to a different country to try to like spark the energy of like writing, or go to somewhere that's inspiring. Right. I think the same is for entrepreneurship. It's very similar.
Okay, our signature question for Lindsay, with about 1 minute left. Looking back over the past month, do you have any 60-second highlight, maybe relating to this theme today, that stands out to you? Kind of resetting your space, your business for spring, the spring energy going on here, especially in Charleston, where we are. Anything stand out?
I had one, but it's not related to no, it is related to this theme. Okay. My 60 seconds would be, we recently are working with a local Charleston company to think about partnering to add some services to our program, which is really exciting. They're local to Charleston, and so I know this seems like such a minor thing, but we had an in-person meeting at a co-working space that this company works out of, and that was really exciting to me because we don't often get to work with people in person, but then also to see a co-working space in the city we live in and really cool business owners and projects going on was exciting, and I think connected to this idea of space and work happening and partnerships and all that kind of inspiration.
We're used to so many virtual meetings. When you get to go just a few minutes down the street and talk to someone in person, it's like really cool. Makes you think like, oh wow, yeah, this is real. This does involve people around us. Like, it's definitely been cool to see that. Well, thank you everyone so much for listening today. We hope you're inspired and feeling a little more equipped to go introduce something creative to the world. You can look forward to more episodes like this one, practical tips and lessons for founders from our co-founder, Lindsay, as well as episodes on our top 3 favorite brands each month, brought to you by our marketing strategist, Liz. And lastly, some deep dives into the journeys of our creators in Student Made, starting an impressive craft and turning that into a business on their campus. As far as what's coming up for us next week, you can look forward to a Top Brands episode that will be featuring 2 impressive founders from James Madison University and Winthrop University in South Carolina. As a little heads up, we'll be heading to the beach and to the thrift store for the themes of that episode. So we will see you there. And until then, make it creative.
Remember, spring resets don't have to be big or dramatic to be meaningful. Sometimes the most powerful shift comes from changing what you see and feel every day while you work. As you move into the spring season, give yourself permission to slow down, clear space, and build with intention. Your business is growing because you are growing, and that's something worth making room for.